if you can't stop talking to Denise about God, maybe you just shouldn't come around anymore, huh?
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Journey to me.
I am the mystery that has surrounded your life from the beginning,
Not the cheap god of superstition,
nor the tyrant of your fearful imaginations.
nor the tribal god who is a god for Christians alone.
Journey to me. I am the source of love
Whom all people are looking for.
in their many colorful religions.
My name is Wan Zhen. I was born in Taiwan. Even as a girl, I soon discovered that the world is a confusing place. I learned that I wouldn't get anywhere if I didn't find my own way. I envied my brother Nan for being a boy, because my father gave him so much attention.
你看看，很好玩。哎，枪口不可以对人啊。
没给你玩。
我懂玩法，你看，打高一点。对。
I was very fond of my granny. She was a ray of sunshine in our home. My father said she belonged to a previous age. He called her a relic of ancient Chinese culture. My granny still believed in the Taoist religion, but my mother was a Christian. That's why Nan and I had been baptized. My father had given up all religion. He lived mainly for his business and for Nan. I thought the world of my father, but he could be so impatient. At times, he could be positively rude. Even a trivial thing, like finding a small stone in his rice, could make him very angry. I loved to accompany my father to his shop. There, he was the undisputed lord and master. I was proud of him because he was such a strong and capable man. He always knew precisely how things should be done. I didn't know what to make of my father. One moment, he would quote a verse at me, telling me that my eyes were like flower petals floating on a crystal pond. And then his mood would suddenly change. His anger would flare up, and he would scold his secretary for a small mistake, like putting a stamp crookedly on an envelope. One day, I got a terrible shock. day only Granny was at home. Go quickly, she told me. Get the Taoist priest. For Granny, the snake was a manifestation of evil power. That evil could only be counteracted by sacrifice and incantation. The gods were invoked, but it did not help. Nan died. The Catholic priest, too, could do little but bless Nan's grave and pray for his eternal rest. Is there any real power in all this? I thought. When God wants us to die, we die, whatever we do. His verdict is final. My father was furious. He said Nan could have been saved if we had called a doctor instead. He felt his son had been killed by religion and superstition. I knew I could never make up for the loss of Nan. But I made up my mind to become a strong person like my father, so that he would be proud of me. When I was 10, I received First Communion. It made a deep impression on me. I could see it made my mother really happy. After that, my mother sent me to Mass and Sunday school every Sunday. My mother would urge me to pray well, but she usually had some excuse for not going herself. Will I be like my mother when I grow up? I thought. I talked to my favorite teacher about this, and he really helped me. Wan Chen, when you were small, did your mother carry you? He asked. Yes, she did, I said. But now, you don't need to be carried, do you? You walk on your own feet, don't you? He asked. Yes, I told him. You're becoming an adult, he said. You have to learn to stand on your own feet, to take your own decisions. You have to become yourself. He also advised me to start my own diary, so that I could record my impressions and my decisions in it. Seek and you shall find, Christ had said. Many people seem to forget that children can think. They can. And I did. I began to lead a secret life of my own. My own thoughts were very precious to me. They reached the sky and carried me far and wide. Of course, Now as an adult, I can see things with perspective and with greater clarity. But many of the principles I base my life on, I can trace to early experiences and early decisions. One day, I went with Granny to the Longshan Temple on a traditional Taoist feast. It was like entering another world, with dragons and griffins and sacred trees and other remnants of ancient Chinese culture. With fascination, I watched everything that was going on in the temple. I knew people were praying for their families to enjoy good health and happiness. My granny was so excited about it all. She even threw the Bai oracle to ask God for an answer to some question that worried her. She really believes in all this, I thought. It means a lot to her. This made me look even more closely at the idols. There were hundreds of them. There was Grandfather Heaven, who is also known as the Jade Emperor. He is assisted by many commanders and officials, such as King Xia and General Fan. There was Guan Yin, Goddess of Mercy, who looks very much like Mary, the mother of Jesus. There were gods and goddesses of every description, each with a specific job: to bring rain, to promote success in business, to protect a house, to give children to mothers. There were the patron gods of actors, hairdressers, musicians, and soldiers. As a Christian, I didn't believe in these gods, yet I was impressed by the devotion of the people, including my grannies. Surely they couldn't all be wrong. When I told my father, he ridiculed all religion. "My child, it's a complete nonsense," he said. "I'm glad that you're finding the truth at last." "Read this booklet," he told me. "It will open your eyes. It explains the origin of religion." The book shocked me. It pointed out that we, human beings, have invented gods and goddesses according to our own imagination. The truth of what the booklet said struck me. Yes, gods who are emperors, kings, generals, officials, mother goddesses, they are all divine beings who don't exist. They are made by us. They are illusions, figments of our imagination that copy human society. The significance of this fact sunk in when I suddenly realized that the booklet spoke about all religion, including Christianity. Is God not presented in the Bible as someone who talks and acts like one of us? Jesus himself not like a film star who performs difficult and heroic tasks? Is the Virgin Mary not very much like Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy? I know now that the book was based on the theory of Feuerbach, who maintained that all religion is just a creation of the mind. I didn't know that at the time, but I got the message. A storm of doubts raged in my mind. I didn't know anymore whether I could believe in God and Jesus Christ. It came to my mind that this might be the reason why clever people like my father and other successful men did not bother to pray to God or to go to church. I struggled with these thoughts for half a year. In the end, I decided to put the problem once more to my favorite teacher.
喜欢这本书吗？
喜欢啊。
好。
When I explained my doubts to him,
谢谢老师。
he said, "Let's go up to the roof terrace of the building." "Isn't the sun beautiful?"
是啊，
he asked
真美
me.
耶。
"Yes, it is beautiful," I
看起来
said.
啊，它好像
Doesn't
在
it
是不是？
"Seem to look at
是
you?"
哎，一张脸
he
对着我
asked again.
笑。
"It does," I said. "It's just as if it has a face and smiles at me. Don't you see? The sun has no face,"
太阳没有
he
脸，
said.
它不会
"It can't look down on us.
它不像我们
It
人一样
doesn't wake up in the
早上起
morning
床
as we do,
晚上上床
or go to
睡
bed
觉
at night.
但是呢
And yet we
我们
talk
常用
about the
形容
sun
人的字眼
as if it
来
is
形容
human.
太阳。我们对
The
天主
same
是
thing
不
we
一样
do to
天
God,"
主
he
真实
said.
存在但是
God really
我们讲天主
exists,
的时候
but we talk about God as if God were human. "Let me tell you a little more about the sun," he said. "The sun is an enormous ball of burning gas. It weighs 300,000 times as much as the Earth. Its inside temperature is 14 million degrees Celsius. It burns 4 million tons of matter every second, converting it into heat and light. The sun looks so small to us because it is 150 million kilometers distant from us. Because the sun is so far away, people have imagined it in human forms. For the Mayas in South America, the sun was an ancient ancestor who traveled through the sky to hunt during the day, but who spent the night in an underground cave to eat food and take rest. The Greeks and Romans imagined that the sun rode through the sky in a chariot drawn by winged horses. According to Japanese myth, the sun is the goddess Amaterasu. The emperors of Japan were considered her direct descendants. Japan is a country where the goddess wakes from sleep each morning. She is the rising sun on the Japanese flag. In many cultures, we find such human representations of the sun. "Does that mean the sun does not exist?" he said. "Of course it exists. And it is much more glorious and wonderful than people ever imagined. The same is true about God. People have given him 1,000 different forms in their religions, making God male or female, kind or severe, remote or familiar. These forms are human imaginations. But the reality of God really exists, and it is far greater than can be grasped in human thought." From that time on, I've understood the difference between God's reality and our human images of God. When I was 17, I began my university studies. I soon found out that the so-called scientific objections against religion arise from a profound misconception. Science is a valuable tool that unravels the laws of nature. The truly human values, however, fall outside the scope of science. Science cannot judge what is good or evil. It cannot decide on meaning or purpose. Left to itself, science lacks joy, mystery, fulfillment. Science can produce nuclear power. It cannot decide when and how and on what conditions it should be used. Only human beings can take such decisions with the help of religious values. Even scientists take moral decisions as human beings who have a conscience. Another truth that dawned on me the more I studied nature is that we have so much in common with other beings. The life we have in us, we share with plants, animals, and all other living creatures. All the energy of life, in turn, comes from the sun. This means that we carry in ourselves the life of the earth and the energy of the sun. The heavier elements we carry in us, like iron, magnesium, and iodine, derive from a supernova explosion that preceded our solar system. And our galaxy, like all other galaxies in the universe, come from a large, incredible explosion of energy. My search has led me to accept some strong convictions. One is that my own self is part of a far wider reality. In fact, I carry in me traces of the whole universe. I am part of whatever lies at its origin. Through religion, I touch the deepest roots of my own self and my own identity. In all religions of the world, we find traits that are entirely human. Some traits spring from fear, superstition, fanaticism. Such elements are not from God. They are just plain human. This also applies to Christianity. Much of it is of human origin, like our speaking of God the Father as if he were male, or the vestments which the priest wears, or the way we perform our religious rites. Religion has to be human, because we are human. On the other hand, the recognition of mystery and of divine presence is valid in our human experience. People who neglect religion miss a key element in their experience of the world. In order to be true to ourself, we need to fulfill the spiritual dimension of life. We need to rediscover poetry, art, music, wonder and mystery, the limitless horizon beyond our universe. And then something else. When we turn to God, we should remember God is truly a universal God. God is the reality whom all human beings from time immemorial have intuitively perceived to rule the world they lived in. God was present in all their religions, inspiring people to heroism and generous sacrifices. God is a God of all people, not a tribal God, not a God for Christians alone, but a God who lights the spark in every human mind and every human heart. I'm a committed Christian. I firmly believe that Jesus Christ is the incarnate Son of God. But I don't find it difficult to pray in a variety of holy places where other people worship, whatever their religion may be.
Womb of all beginnings, I long for you. Light of lights, I search for you. Cosmic mind, I call on you. Ground of our being, I worship you. You are my Father, you are my Mother, you are my God, my all, my happiness. Of heaven and earth, I hold to you. Om Sati Dhanana, I turn to you. Elohim Adonai, I bow to you. Allah Rahman Rahim, I surrender myself to you. You are my Father, you are my Mother, you are my God, my all, my happiness. You sent our Lord Jesus Christ, I'm touched by you. You spoke the word, I believe in you. You reconciled the world, I'm healed by you. You are pure love and mercy, I entrust myself to you. You are my Father, you are my Mother, you are my God, my all, my happiness. Flame of all that loves, I burn with you. Uniting soul of all, I'm breathing you. Sea of peace, I drink from you.